My name's Sweeney Hughes. I'm a domestic student from Perth, where I've lived my entire life. I'm a first year student here at Sydney. Study law and commerce, which I'm finding interesting. A fact about myself is I'm really into sport, sort of every sport. I probably prefer rugby union and cricket especially, but I keep up with just about everything. Other things I do, I've been involved in music, drama, debating a lot. I've sort of been the sort of person who wants to involve myself in just about everything I can. And I'm trying to continue to do that here. I've been through Sydney a fair few times in my life, and I've been on the University of Sydney campus before on a debating trip. And obviously the uni's got a very good reputation, so I expected it to be just a really good experience, sort of, where I was able to learn a lot of things. I expected there to be a lot of people, I guess, similar to me in that it's a really big institution. I sort of just expected that I'd be able to continue a lot of things I was doing at home already, but in a more foreign environment, and in an environment where I had to, I guess, sort of rely on myself more than my parents or my friends or what I was used to. Initially, when I was looking at where to stay, I sort of glossed over IH at first, looking at other colleges. But what I guess drew me to IH was that I saw the other colleges as kind of just more of the same. Because, at home in Perth, I went to, just a Catholic private school, which was fantastic. I really liked it. But, I sort of really wanted to experience something a bit different. And I think what drew me to IH was, I don't know, it seemed like a more kind of niche, boutique kind of place, but the fact that there was so much diversity here, so many different sorts of people represented, I thought was just like a really alluring concept, just in that I hadn't experienced it before, and that, being able to do that sort of thing would, I don't know, expand my horizons a bit, allow me to talk to people who I would have otherwise never got a chance to interact with, open dialogues with people of all sorts of different nationalities or ethnicities. Something else that drew me here was that my uncle stayed here, I think back in the late 70s maybe, and he went on to live in, I think, Spain, Jamaica, Canada, all over the place. And one of the main factors behind that was that he said, staying at IH, talking to different people made him really want to sort of go and see the world, and made him move from, because he was from rural New South Wales, moved from just kind of having a Australia-centric focus to more thinking about options worldwide. And he only had sort of good things to say. Then further things that drew me to here was, I guess, just the opportunities that presented themselves. Things like I-Night or whatever, and the food fair, etc., and the fact that you can still do sports and whatever, maybe just not as kind of organised and structured, more just as a casual thing you can do with mates, seemed really appealing to me. I mean, the main concern that I had, I think just about everyone would, it was just the idea of moving to a completely new place in a foreign environment. I've lived in one house my entire life with my sort of older brother, sister, and my parents, so I haven't really had to rely on myself for anything before. I hadn't really had responsibilities before, but more to that, I'd sort of only ever been to two schools, a primary school, a high school. I'd got very comfortable and into, I guess, just like I got into the motions of living in Perth and doing the same thing. Moving to a foreign environment where everything was different, I'd have to kind of start anew, and having no crutches or no nets, relying on old mates I had back home, I think was a daunting experience. Or at least a daunting prospect. As it turned out, I think I found the transition relatively smooth. But yeah, I think just the idea of moving away from what I know was daunting. I think furthermore, maybe a bit of doubt about how I'd actually go in uni and in the courses, just in that I'd sort of always planned, I guess, to go to UWA and just do whatever, go through the motions there, sort of with mates and whatever, and doing things that my brothers had done before me. But I guess moving here to a bigger institution, one that, in the course that I'm in at least, probably demands a bit more, perfection or whatever, I was worried that I might not be able to do that. But so far I'm finding it relatively straightforward. I'm finding the transition pretty smooth. So I'm enjoying it all. I got here sort of a day before I was, I guess, scheduled to, and I remember the first day I wasn't exactly sure what to do. I spent most of my time just kind of in my room, and I came out for meals. And I remember going to dinner, but I was invited over to a table where a whole bunch of people who clearly were older students and knew one another were sitting, but they were all sort of asking me where I was from, what I was doing, but it didn't sort of seem like a fabricated experience just to make, you know, the new kid feel welcome, because there was other people at the table going through the same thing. And I think that's the main thing. Everyone's kind of on the same wavelength. Everyone's had to experience this at least some point and has like a mutual appreciation for what others are going through. I think in those opening days, the activities that IH and the IHMA put on were also really helpful, whether that was just kind of showing a movie that only a few people would rock up to when others were partying, or going out partying themselves, or just kind of sitting on the roof, or also kind of the workshops that were put on that just kind of, I guess, pushed you and forced you to interact with people and step out of your comfort zone, but I think was sort of a necessary step to forge those initial connections, because once you're able to open a dialogue with someone as basic as it is, whether that's asking where they're from or how long they've been in Sydney, then you know, I guess that's the first step to communicating with them more long term. So I found the opening week handy. It was also great in that during a lot of those activities I was able to find people who did the same courses as me, and then translating that into the university's O Week itself, I was able to go along to things like orientation activities for my courses with other people from the house, and at least get to know them in that way. The uni itself as well, just the broad range of clubs and societies that were able to be joined was really good, just in that, you know, there was so many kind of things that I could engage myself with that, you know, I knew how to do from home, or I was interested in doing from home, and that I'd sign up for, and then, you know, I'd meet more people through that and make more friends through that. And other people from IH were sort of doing the same thing, and we were able to roll around the O Week stalls together, then sort of come back here, eat dinner together, chat together, find out more about one another, then go to events that were being put on, which really helped sort of consolidate those friendships, which I think have continued on.